Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. So this is a really different one. It's a very interesting one. Over the course of this year, and I'll even bring it back to like January 2023, we heard that other countries were beginning their cryptocurrency regulatory thing that they all had going on. The idea was crypto's evil, we got to regulate it, or it's going to cause dinosaurs to fall out of the sky, or whatever governments were saying back then. A lot of them have announced that they will eventually have cryptocurrency regulations. The US SEC said, Gary Gensler said, he thinks it might take between 3 to 5 years. Those numbers don't make a lot of sense. Just simply regulate it. On the other side of the coin, we had a number of different countries who announced, hey, we're going to do it, in a couple of weeks. We're going to get the paperwork together. And one of them was Hong Kong. Hong Kong recently in the cryptocurrency space has become like a mini titan in that in January, they announced that they would have cryptocurrency regulation by the 1st of June. And behold and lo, by June 1st, they also had proper cryptocurrency regulation. So exactly when they said that it was going to happen. The really interesting part is that basically since then, the amount of news surrounding Hong Kong has really picked up. In that, we have recently heard, if I can remember correctly, like 10 days ago, we heard that Hong Kong is not only looking to legalize Bitcoin ETFs and cryptocurrency ETFs, the thing that everyone's kind of focused on right now in the United States, but also making sure that retail investors can buy them as well. That is to say, everyday normal people, because we do have a lot of countries where they do have Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. The issue tends to be a lot of them are saying that these ETFs are only for the wealthy, for institutions, institutional investors. You have to have over $5, $10, $15 million to be able to invest in them. But Hong Kong is like, no, let's make it easy and accessible for everyone as long as they're regulated. They also recently announced, which I thought was a little weird, that they're going to have like a migration program for people who basically have and or are dealing in Bitcoin within Hong Kong, but the number it's something like $3.5 million. And I went over that in my other channel, The Modern Investor. There are a lot of other countries that will literally give you a passport for like $250,000, $500,000. It's not a small amount, but comparative to 3.548921 million, kind of ridiculous. We also had other news that there are a lot of companies since around March who have been applying for cryptocurrency licenses within Hong Kong as well, and they've gotten them. It hasn't taken a year, it hasn't taken 5 or 6 years like the Bit license. Has been almost instantaneous. I think there's also news that a lot of major cryptocurrency exchanges, like the big ones, have also received licenses from Hong Kong or are in the final process of doing it as well. So Hong Kong is doing exceedingly well for themselves and bringing all this capital to their borders, as many other countries should have done, because it's not really that difficult. Years ago, one of the major ideas was, or actually, yeah, it was like actual fact, was that South Korea and Japan kind of ruled the cryptocurrency space as far as trading volume, and people now think that Hong Kong can do the same. Why, you might ask? Because a lot of the speculation right now revolves around the fact that people think that Hong Kong is basically being used as like a test site for China to see how things go. As you might know, crypto is not banned in China, but people are restricted from day trading and actively trading these coins back and forth. You can still own crypto in China, but it has to go through an OTC over-the-counter desk where you basically have to walk into a store, you show your ID, you tell them your name, you tell them your address, maybe how tall you are, maybe that's part of it as well. And then you're actively able to buy the crypto, but you cannot speculate on it. I think you are also able to mine crypto in China, but it's like you need government approval to be able to do so. And as of now, we have basically only heard that there are major entities or maybe friends of the government who are actively doing so. So the idea is that Hong Kong seems to be a lot more free in their dealings within cryptocurrency. And as such, this is why we've seen like such a huge move to regulate it so fast. The idea once again being that if it basically works out in Hong Kong, it could kind of work out in China. We've also had news a lot of times that a lot of the news coming out of Hong Kong has been that apparently a lot of these investment vehicles are actually also, this is the news we've heard, I'm not there, I can't tell you, but the news that we've been getting is that it's also actively available to people in China. That is to say, if they kind of go down south, they can then deal in crypto and then also just go back north to their home from whence they came. Thus, this news. We typically get a lot of news about companies actively acquiring cryptocurrency. You've seen these videos before, especially if you've been watching this channel. And a lot of times it is normally, we have, of course, the MicroStrategy and the Cathie Woods who acquire egregious amount of crypto all the time. But especially if you were here roughly around, I want to say between 2019 to early 2021, we had a lot of news that there were smaller companies like pizza companies, mom and pop shops. You can find the news. They were putting in 5,000 into crypto, or they were saying, hey, you know, we have an extra 50,000 at the end of the year. We're going to start allocating some money into crypto. It's kind of the beginning of hyper-Bitcoinization, if you will. So when this news popped up, I was like, I think it's beginning once again, not a mom and pop shop, but us hearing about other companies who are actively going to begin to start allocating large amounts of money into crypto. The company's name is Boya, B-O-Y-A-A. It's not Booyah, it's missing an O there. It's Boya Interactive. They're a Hong Kong-based gaming company, and they have announced that apparently they've been talking with their board of directors and they are going to begin investing in Bitcoin and in Ethereum. And also they're going to start allocating a small amount of money into Tether as well. Maybe they want to trade. I'm not really sure exactly what's going on. They said this is going to happen over the course of a 12-month period. Maybe they're trying to do some type of dollar cost averaging. I wish them luck as far as like, in 12 months from now, people are expecting a $70,000 to $100,000 Bitcoin. So I think it would make sense to buy a little bit earlier, but I'm not part of that company, so they will do as they so please. They announced that they are going to be putting $100 million into the cryptocurrency space, just focusing on those coins. So they will have a $45 million acquisition of Bitcoin, $45 million for Ether, and then $10 million for Tether as well. Once again, happening over the course of a 12-month period. It says something that they also are going to be talking with their board of directors as more and more cryptocurrencies are accumulated. And apparently they're doing this for their treasury reserve. Those of you who were not here a number of years ago, big news back in the day, and I mean like this is 2 years ago, was that the mayor of Miami is really into Bitcoin. And he announced that. I believe he was also, him and the New York City mayor were going to start receiving, I think, their paychecks in Bitcoin. And also in Miami, I believe that the state's treasury was actively or is actively also accumulating Bitcoin as a bit of a reserve asset as well. Like I keep saying, you know, the future is here. We're getting all this news constantly of these people who are buying up tons of cryptocurrencies. But when you talk about people using it as a reserve asset or as an asset to kind of like protect them against inflation, this is kind of like the main turning point of the idea of hyper-Bitcoinization, when people begin to use Bitcoin as a hedge because people are expecting it to go to $1 million per coin and basically outpace dramatically the value of the US dollar, as even if we only had just 2 to 3% inflation per year, The US dollar has already lost 99% of its value since the 1970s. We also had news before that I believe it was Sao Paulo. There are a bunch of countries and cities around the world who are actively accumulating Bitcoin. This is where we get that 93% of all Bitcoin is now held by these rich people, and it's also held by countries, and it's also held by companies as well. Very significant news. This is another $100 million worth of Ether and Bitcoin that's going to be off the table, probably forever, if not for a very long time. I guess I've, let it be known. There's not really more that I have to say about this. It's more of a always continue to pay attention. I don't know if I have it in me to make a video where I kind of go over all the companies and all the countries who are actively doing it. This is why I made all the other videos. It would literally be far too long, and I think it would take too much out of me. But I think a lot of times people hear news like this, they get it. Of course, you understand English. You understand what I'm saying. But then people forget. And then we get other news that pops up in 2 days and people go, wow. And then they forget. And then we hear that another thing is happening with this companies, countries, whatever, buying and mining crypto. That's the one that also got me. When we first heard that countries were mining crypto and that there were years ago 7 countries all under sanctions who were using Bitcoin to trade amongst themselves. And then 2 days later, everyone's like, well, no one's using Bitcoin. And it's like, yeah, sure. No one's using Bitcoin as all of it gets bought up by these companies. And the craziest part still is that this is still 2023. This isn't, the halving hasn't happened. So there's not this amount of demand that we have for Bitcoin. There's this much Bitcoin being made, and the amount of Bitcoin getting made is going to get cut in half. This isn't 2028 when the next halving happens after that. And it's not 2032 when we're expecting $1 million Bitcoin. So keep all of this in mind for the future when you one day tell your kids how low you saw these prices, because it's clear that stuff is getting crazy, and I don't want any of you to forget it. I want you to always be aware of this news, because this is the most significant thing that the world is actively changing right in front of us. So yeah, Boya Interactive going to be buying $100 million worth of crypto. As always, the links to the articles will be in the description below. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, terrible, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.